So hello and shalom for everyone, and welcome to the communal gathering of yoga readers. We have finished the reading of the Yoga, a Gem for Women by Geeta Iyengar. It has been an amazing journey. I have studied this book depthly, and I really took a deep dive into it when I started practicing Iyengar yoga. Then, when I researched Iyengar yoga for women in my PhD studies, then I reread it, preparing for our joint journey. And then I reread it as we were reading it so many times, and it's still really filled with gems. So I'm very grateful for this journey of reading and rereading this wonderful book. I think it's really packed. So it's difficult just to sit down and read it through. It was a good idea to have discussions about it. I hope you enjoyed the focus questions. The questionnaire that I sent out said that you did the focus questions and the reflective questions. I'm really curious whether or not you kept a journal or did you just think about it. Some shared that they took the reflection questions to their students and had a discussion with their students about these. Just thinking about Geeta Ji's teaching, rereading, and then we even had quizzes, right, about some of the chapters. I really appreciate all this journey. So I just wanted to say a few words about the questionnaire that I sent out. I want to show you some results. But before that, I just want to mention again why we chose this book. And I think that we said it before we started reading it, but now we can really appreciate or reappreciate how this is a groundbreaking book. We realized that this book was written during the 70s and then published during the 80s, where not many women in India were practicing yoga, and not many women around the world knew how to practice during menstruation, during pregnancy, during menopause. So this book opened up a new horizon for women about how to practice in a way that is suitable for their needs. And we just had a special session with Lois Steinberg, and she said that during the 70s, when she joined Iyengar Yoga, it wasn't talked about enough. And for her, it was mainly in the end of the 90s when Geeta Ji had this special women's workshop, the Women Intensive in Pune, when they rediscussed the different stages in a woman's life. And there they had 6 stages going from puberty to menopause to post-menopause. And they looked at all the different stages and said, okay, so for each posture, how should we adapt? How does Tadasana look for each stage in a woman's life? And they broke it down, and then they had a demonstration, which was videoed as well. Very interesting demonstration. I find it interesting. And they couldn't demonstrate all the postures. And even in the notebook that Lois Steinberg then published, it's not all the postures that appear in Light on Yoga or even in Yoga Gem for Women, but it really gives a taste of how a posture can be adapted, modified to suit women's needs. A part of this being groundbreaking, the book is really women-centered or women-oriented. And we saw this while we read how she takes a posture and then she says, okay, so if this can't be achieved because of certain body shape or because of pain or because of having this and that kind of moods, then how you should modify it. So it's really looking not only at women's bodies, but also at their mental states and so on. So many things are taken care of. And then, of course, we spoke about the therapeutic applications, how Geeta Ji always thought with compassion about how to help women, not only in their different life stages, but also with women's health conditions that maybe most likely were not talked about before that. So she showed women how they can practice during different health conditions. So not just how to practice while you're having your, let's say, menstruation, but what to do when it's irregular or when the bleeding is very heavy or if there are some fertility problems. So that's another great help. And for me, as a researcher or scholar of yoga, I really appreciate how she bridges constantly the philosophy or the tradition of yogic wisdom with her modern understanding of women's anatomy, of women's health, of women's position in society, and so on. So she really takes the old teachings and she shows us how they are still relevant for us today. So this book was a challenge for me. And when I decided that we're going to read it, I discussed this with some colleagues, some Iyengar yoga teachers, and they said, what are you going to do with the asanas? Are you going to teach asanas? Are you going there? Because it's a practical book. And I said, some of the units will be about asana, but some of the units are more philosophical, theoretical. And basically, I don't always see the difference between them. So we can read about an asana and there find some story from a sacred narrative, or we can find a philosophical idea that is explained through that. So I really see them as intertwined. And also when we read about philosophy or a sacred narrative, then we can take it into a posture and see how it works there. So we started with what I wanted to go through the units, but basically I'll just say that the sessions went through the chapters, and in each session or reading unit, I tried to give some extra materials, some supplementary materials, which included explanations about the three dosha system from Ayurveda. And in the beginning, it was a breakdown of the story of Sulabha, a princess that is a yogini who she's like an exemplar of women's spiritual authority. And then as we read, I sent out quotes and some more materials that you can read about the five koshas. I think we can't really cover all of them because we'll just lose the thread of this session, which is basically about hearing your experience. So I asked you throughout the sessions, did you read the supplementary materials? How did you use all the stuff that I sent you, that I sent out? So I'd really like to get your feedback about that. I'll just mention that it's not only that we read and met and discussed and then had some supplementary materials, but we also had 3 special sessions. One was with Rita Keller just before starting our reading. Then we had a special session about Ayurveda with Sine. And just lately, we had another special session with Lois Steinberg, who also wrote books. And in between, you asked for a workshop. So we had a special workshop of comparing light on yoga to yoga ejam for women. And we tried out some standing postures. And we tried to feel how they felt when we were practicing through the instructions in Light on Yoga of Guruji and the instructions of the same posture in Yoga Ejam for Women by Geeta Ji. That was quite interesting. Then we had materials about was Yoga Kurunta and about the sage Bharadvaja and about Shavasana and about Shanmukhi Mudra and so many extra materials that I hope that we can explore together in more depth. So this was about our journey. And now I'd like to share with you. So I asked people what motivated them to join Yoga Readers. Some of you joined in the past books, so maybe it was less relevant for you. But I saw that the majority said that they want to deepen their understanding about yogic philosophy. And then the second most popular was to integrate yogic principles into their everyday lives, which is basically what motivated me to do the reflective questions to see how what you read meets your own yogic experience. And then I also asked you what you were hoping to gain from participating in the community, and the majority said to get new insights following the reading. And then the second most popular answer was learning about yoga's theory and philosophy. So I hope that the supplementary materials were enough on that, but we could have more, of course. And then I asked, where are you based? And we have a majority from the United States. I'm moving on. So the majority of practitioners, like 84% of those who answered the survey, are Iyengar yogi. And the majority practices more than 10 years, which is really nice. And it means that we are a community of Iyengar yoga teachers, basically. That's what I understand of it, but not solely, which means that practitioners from other traditions also feel welcomed to be here, and that we also have practitioners who are practicing for 5 to 10 years or less than 5 years, and they also feel welcomed here, and I'm very happy for that. So it's not an Iyengar yoga teachers community which is closed, and if you don't have your certificate, you can't be part of it. It's open, and still we can gain a lot from the knowledge of Iyengar yoga teachers here. So I'm very grateful about that. So I think that now I'd like to hear from you. If you could open your mics or open your cameras, that would be even nicer. And just, can you tell me about your experience? You can tell me about what worked for you and what didn't work that much. So what you'd like to change perhaps for our next reading. I'd like to hear whatever you can tell me. And then perhaps we can go to hearing some quotes. I'd like to hear some parts of the book that you liked the most. If you have that, it doesn't have to be something that you prepared. We have the book and possibly marked parts within it that we really liked, or just from the top of your head, if you can think of a reading unit that you appreciated. And then I'll reveal our next reading.
I found the way that you divided the book made it very interesting. The book in itself never really spoke to me. And because we read it together and because you divided it the way you did, I just got much more out of it. I found that I spent more time on pranayama because with the last book, I found that I was really lacking in my practice. So I've tried to incorporate more pranayama. And although I wasn't in the sessions live with Rita Keller and Lois and the other woman, I really enjoyed the Ayurveda, especially. I just loved that Zoom session. And I think the section when we did Shavasana, also the Shavasana and Mudra lectures, I liked a lot. And probably because I think it's generally easy for me. And then the last thing is that I really liked the time. The day and the time really worked well for me personally. I would think it's probably fair to pick a different day and time for the next book, but that worked. Also, I assume it could be 75 minutes. And it's rush for now. And that's all I'll say for now. Thank you.
Thank you, Elizabeth.
So I can say something. I'm from Sweden, and for the timing, it was good for me. It's always, you will always have that challenge that everybody is in a different time zone. Of course, you could vary it and have it very late in the evening so it will suit someone else, or have it very early or something. But I think that's the way it is, and it's very good that you then record it so people can still catch up. But I think also that I would like to say that these pedagogical things that you could print out, and I used it like to make notes as you suggested, and like how to what to think about. So I thought that was very pedagogical, and all these books need some kind of, how do you say, someone to help you dilute the information so you can take it in, so to speak. So I'm very grateful for that. But I also really appreciated the additional workshops that you given us. And especially I liked the one where we compared light on yoga and for women. And did the, like with the instruction from Geeta Iyengar and then the instruction from Geeta. And I thought that I would really love to continue that exploration and see, because even though you read all these instructions and everything, you don't realize what are they trying to say. And that, I think you helped a lot in becoming more interested in this that you already mentioned in the beginning of rereading. So I actually just did the survey today, and I wrote that I would like to have on-site workshop where you do both the asanas and the reading, like combined, would be really great. So just thank you so much for your efforts and for sharing all this knowledge. Very helpful and kind that you do this for us.
Thank you, Maria.
Thank you, Agi, for putting it together. Much appreciated. Because I'm doing my teacher's training and it's in my first year, it was absolutely befitting and it worked well for every aspect of my course. So it's not difficult to read it, but I think it becomes more interesting and more in depth when you read it with others. We share, obviously those who have shared, I've been too lazy to share. But when you hear the comments, you realize it's understandable in a particular way. When you compare it to light on, at times when you've compared it to BKS, it sheds more light from a woman's perspective. The gems were incredible. So the book and the title is obviously perfect for what it had shared. What it gave me. I think the information that you sent, the supplementary information, helped me a lot. I could go back, and the recordings were great. I could re-listen to it, understand it slightly differently, see it slightly differently. So for me, I've enjoyed. And then obviously we had those extra lectures as well, which I went into to go and read. The information is incredible. And there's so much to absorb. You have to do it over a period of time. So your timing of each unit was also very good. As I say, I'm so sorry I didn't give you much feedback, but I had lots on my plate this year. So in the next book I will. But thank you so much.
Thank you, Martina.
I'd also like to say thank you so much, Agi. It's been an amazing journey. For me personally, and it's completely personal, it's been a little disjointed because I've been traveling the 6 months and my attendance or my being able to connect has been a bit erratic. But most of the sessions I've managed to play back, but I'm heading home next month and I'm hoping to actually sit down and redo and go through a lot of them because I know there was so much I missed because I was not as focused as I should be. But everything that you have contributed and offered has been next level and beyond generous. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Michelle. I just want to make sure that everyone is aware of the website. So I'm sharing it right now. I hope that black thing, goes away. So we have on my website the yoga reader page, which is basically all 3 books that we have read. And if we just scroll down, here are the links that I hope you're also in the WhatsApp group, the Facebook group, you're getting the newsletter, and that you're subscribed to the YouTube channel to get all the recording. But anyway, here if we click on Yoga Jam for Women and we just go down, we see all the sessions that we had by date. So this is the session with Rita Keller. And I'll just show you one session, the first session that we had. And I'm going to keep this format for our new book. So this was session summary notes that you can just click and read. We won't go through that right now. But then you have a link to watch the Zoom session. And underneath, there are more articles that are related to our reading. So the first session was about the Guru Shishya tradition and adaptations. That was maybe later. Then you have the other units. If I'll just show you unit 2, I think it has So here is the chapter summary, which is long. Then the focus questions that I sent you. So I made sure that they're on the website as well. And then the session summary, which is basically what we talked about. This is the extra material or whatever we discussed, and sometimes even the questions that we had during the discussion. Here I added a quiz about unit 2, and here's again the recording that you can watch. And it just goes on and on. Unit 2, Unit 3, here's the special session on Ayurveda that you just mentioned before. So it's all up there on the website, available for all. And so even if your schedule is erratic and you missed a few sessions, it's very clear on the website. And I hope it's easier this way to access all the information. And I'd appreciate your feedback on that as well, because I feel that on WhatsApp, We get a lot of WhatsApp messages, don't we? But it's really in order there. You just go in and you see all the messages that you missed. Maybe it's too much, maybe it's overwhelming. And on Facebook, I get the feedback that not every time that I post something, you see it. So you go to your feed and you see whatever. I don't think people go in Facebook and then they go right into the yoga readers Facebook group to check if there is anything new there. It doesn't work that way on Facebook. And then the newsletter, you get it. It's already, right? You know the newsletter. And it's with all the parts that I sent out on the WhatsApp and links to the website and so on. But you get that only after the sessions that we had. So I think the website is in between. You can look ahead and you can go back. It's not on your phone unless you wanted to. I want to say something about the philosophy, and it came up in the questionnaire as well, that people are really interested in learning more about philosophy. And this is related to my choice of our next book. So many have asked me to read together in Yoga Readers Light on the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali by Geeta Iyengar. And we can't just take it and read it because the interpretation of Guruji is based on different layer of the sutras, and we have to understand the sutras and then understand the interpretation of Guruji. Me, as a scholar of Hinduism, as an academic, I can't just go and just read that and have 20 pages per week. I really thought about it many times because the request came up again and again. I kept on thinking, if I can't do that, then what is it that I can do instead? And I came up with, it's like an online course or like a few sessions. I think it's about 8 sessions. I think that was the minimum that I could do. And I called it Threads of Wisdom, which is basically I chose the most relevant themes that come up in the sutras. And what we'll do, we'll read 1 or 2 or 3 sutras, and I'll explain the Sanskrit words, the terminology when it's linked to philosophy and so on. So we'll go through the Sanskrit, which is very important. Sometimes we have to read the first interpreter or the main interpreter of the Yoga Sutras in order to understand the sutra. And then we go to Guruji's interpretation. And then there is the next step, which is what we should do together, is understand how it is relevant to us today. Because I don't think that the sutras are a text of the past that are not relevant for us. I think it's this eternal wisdom. But we really have to understand these different layers, understanding the sutra, understanding the interpretation of Geeta Iyengar, and then taking it in, understanding how it's relevant for us today. So I made this page. I hope you can see it, and I'll send you the link. This is a bit of an explanation about this course. Here is the structure of basically 6 sessions, but I think it will have 8. So 1 as an introduction and 1 as a conclusion. So maybe not 6 online sessions, but 8. And this is just a pre-registration form just to know who is interested and who wants to watch it as a live Zoom session, just the recording, or both. And that's it. I just need to know if people are really interested in taking this course. I'll send you now the link. And I think that's a good start for the Yoga Sutras. The best thing would be there are 196 sutras, and then we'll have a few additional sessions for an introduction, and then a conclusion is to have 200 sessions. The minimum is to have 1 session per sutra. So about 200 sessions, that's a lot. That's a few years. So then the second best thing I thought is just to pick a few sutras and go in this format of Sanskrit, Iyengar, and understanding how it applies to us. And if you're interested in that, then you can pre-register in the link. And just before going to what we are going to read next, and I'm very excited about that, I'd like to again thank those who decided to support this work. I invest a lot of thinking and energy and then actual writing and managing, preparing for the sessions and then sending in between sessions a lot of materials. So some of you decided to support my work with buying me a virtual chai or an Indian tea. And I really appreciate it. Some of you decided to support my yoga research, and I'm very grateful for that as well. I'm going to share with you some of the new research that I'm working on. And there are currently 2 papers that I'm working on, and I was invited to conduct research about yoga for pregnancy and its effects on postpartum depression here in a hospital in Israel. So it's very new, but I'll share more details later. So I'm doing a lot, not just yoga readers, but a lot of yoga research as well. And I want to have on my website also a section that will be called something like evidence-based Iyengar yoga. So to check a lot of assumptions that are made. One example of one of the pieces I've already had is about, does inversions really have a hormonal effect? Because this is something that is all over Yoga Jam for women. Do inversions, it will affect your hormonal balance. So I checked what the research has to say about that, medical studies, and I wrote, it was 8 pages long with citations and so on. So it's also on my website and available for all. Thank you again for your support. Would you like to ask something or add something before I reveal our next book? Are you ready? So our next book is Light on Pranayama. This was asked by so many of you, and I really had to give it a strong thought how to go about it. This is a bigger challenge than Yoga Jam for women, but we're going for it. And we're going to have 8 reading units, which means minimum 10 sessions and probably some more special sessions and possibly special workshops. So a lot is going to happen, and my plan is to start it in December. So we are now at the end of September. We'll have October and November to breathe in Yoga Gem for women, be with it, and then prepare for our next reading journey. Someone wants to say something?
Going there.
Okay. I'm getting hearts and likes. Thank you for that. I hope everybody will be happy with this choice. Okay. Oh, hearts as well. Thank you. It'll be a challenge. And if you have any ideas regarding how to go about it, I'm still in the preparatory stage. So I'm preparing the sessions and I'm open to ideas about who to call for a special session, what kind of special workshop we should have. If any of you wants to volunteer, it could be either with comparing whatever is in Light on Pranayama to different texts, or it can be a demonstration, or it can be whatever, okay? I'm really open at this point to thinking about this reading together with you. Okay. So, who wants to unmute?
Just looking forward to it. Thank you for picking another book. I thought maybe you had enough now, but you keep on going, so that's really great.
There is a lot of work ahead, isn't it? So many books still we haven't read. But I thought this is a popular one that we can access. Other books are maybe Ashtadala Yoga Mala is hard to access. You have to buy it directly from Pune, right? So there are these books that are very valuable, and not all can approach it.
Yes, I'm very excited. If I could have chosen a book, that would have been it. So, yes, I'm very excited. Light on Pranayama is perfect for me.
Good.
And I've been exploring a lot more pranayama due to some health issues I've got at the moment. So yeah, the timing's perfect.
Okay. So thank you all. And we will have another communal gathering before we start reading Light on Pranayama. And I'll give you the reading schedule and maybe some hints about the special sessions that we'll have, or maybe a workshop that we can have. I thought that this book really required also a practical part of it. So I'm still thinking about that. And I'm very excited. Thank you very much.
You're amazing. Thank you. Really, thank you. It sounds great. It sounds like the integration too with the course could be really just amazing. And I'm just backtracking. I think I don't always access the material that you send, and I apologize. I'm sure I would love it equally, just as the other practitioners or teachers said as well. So I know you work hard on that, and I will look at the website more. So thank you.
It's a perfect choice.
Thank you
Agi.
so much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, so see you in our next book.